story. I don't know if you've ever met someone famous or influential and not realize it. Perhaps you've underestimated someone in some way. Well, Paul here is talking to people huddled in a house church in Colossae, a Roman outpost, but it's against this backdrop of the brutal gladiators, the powerful Emperor Caesar of the Romans, and he wants them to know that they're not insignificant, and he wants them to know more than that there's more to Jesus than meets the eye, and that it may not look like it in this bedraggled, broken world, but Jesus is sufficient. He is enough. And perhaps the biggest problem that we have is that we make our God too small. So Christ reigns supreme in creation is basically Paul's mantra here, and he's beginning to answer his own prayer that God would fill them and us with the knowledge of his will by giving them an ever-expanding, cascading description of the living Christ. And it begins like so, that the Son is the image of the invisible God. Paul is arguing that with the coming of Christ, he has made the invisible visible. If you want to know what God the Father looks like, what he's like, what his character's like, Paul says, look to the Son, as he is God's true image. N.T. Wright says humanity was designed to be the perfect vehicle for God's self-expression within his world. Scott McKnight, another commentator, claims that the God-man Lord rules and he reveals God. The next phrase he comes with is this, that the firstborn over all creation, for him all things were created. So this is not about the birth order as it might first appear, but the firstborn over all creation means it's about status. Christ outranks all things in creation. Jesus is the pre-existent one. He's the one prior to creation. He was there at the beginning. Nothing was made without his say-so, without his powerful word. He has the rights to possess the world that he has made. It's no wonder the winds and the waves obeyed him. Carrying on in verse 16, for in him all things were created. He says things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. Paul doesn't say Christ created some things, but that he created all things. There's an emphatic all about this. And he begins to tease this out with locations, speaking about heaven and earth, and in a sense I think that just simply encompasses the whole of the universe. Then he mentions things visible and invisible. Presumably he has in mind with what he says there that this list of power structures, including supernatural powers, elemental spiritual forces, socio-political strangleholds to rulers, authorities, kings, queens, politicians, movers and shakers, without getting bogged down. And it's probably teasing out too much, gets us into hot water, but Paul is basically claiming that Christ is Lord of all creation. No matter what you can think of, who you can think of, Jesus is supreme over it all. Nothing falls outside the orbit of his rule, as one commentator put it. He continues, he says, all things are being created through him and for him. It's a staggering statement, because he's basically saying everything exists in him, for him and through him. One of the commentators, Galen, teases this out a bit. The implications are staggering. He says, Christ is the interpretive key for understanding the meaning of creation, the purpose of life and its goal. Jesus Christ is the universe's center, its origin and its destiny. Amazing statement. And then he finishes with this equally powerful statement. Christ is before all things. In him all things hold together. It's like he's this divine glue. The implication is of this remarkable declaration is that the entire cosmos would simply unravel if Jesus Christ didn't continually hold it together. And if he can hold the cosmos together by his powerful word, then surely he can hold our lives together if we place them in his hands. The whole world is still in his hands, says Paul. Paul declares Christ as superior to everything in creation, anything we can think of. He's supreme over all, the sufficient one. Adrian Krupa has a fascinating comment. He says this, that no single piece of our mental world is to be hermetically sealed off from the rest, and there is not a square inch in the whole domain of human existence over which Christ, who is sovereign over all, does not cry, mine. It's a powerful statement, but that statement that everything is his has dramatic implications for our lives. And the challenge and encouragement is that we should place everything under his sway. I'm Matt Tuttleby, your host today at Bundoran Bible Reflections. Have a great week.